What I found at the crash site didn't ask for a doctor. It just needed one. My name is Nathan Clair. In '97, I was the only doctor for the whole of Tully County. Deliveries, broken bones, buckshot in soft tissue come hunting season. Before that, 4 years as an Army medic. The Persian Gulf taught me not to be surprised by much. Turns out, not enough. That fall, I went out hunting on the Sidro Heath and lost my way. The old Ford sat parked by the logging road, a Springsteen tape gone quiet in the cab, a pager on the dash. It wasn't until evening that I found my way back. Walking back, I lost my footing on a wet slope, went down into a gully, and cracked my head on a root. Then there was just dark. For a doctor, it's a simple formula: trauma, loss of consciousness, and afterward, you sort out what's real from what your brain made up to fill the gap. When I came to, it was night, and the air had that first frost bite to it. I got myself out of the trees into a clearing. The moon hung too bright over the tops of the pines, and after a blow like that, my head started serving up horrors. Black shapes between the trunks, faces in the branches that weren't there, movement where nothing should have been moving. I made myself look straight ahead, and that's when I saw it. Something smooth and dark and enormous sitting in the clearing. Not a grain silo, bigger than that. A dark graphite, lens-shaped hull, taller than any man, like the side of a multi-story building laid flat on the ground. First thing a doctor learns about a head injury: don't trust your eyes. I stood there and waited for it to disappear. It didn't, so I walked toward it. I could see holes punched in the hull, scarring that only comes from ordnance. And that much I can tell you as a man who spent time in a combat zone. The air near it was warm. The metal ticked and clicked, the way my truck does after a long drive. The domed ridge disappeared up into the dark, and down at the base, that thin edge glowed with one steady orange line. I circled the hull and found the hatch, standing open. The ship itself wasn't the worst part. It smelled like a hospital in there. I'd know that smell out of 1,000 others. It's the smell of a place where somebody's dying. The corridor was wide open. I walked through it, standing straight. Never had to duck. The walls threw back light like the glow was coming from inside the material itself. And somewhere up ahead, something was breathing. Far too slow. That's when I saw him. He was lying a few steps ahead, like he'd been trying to reach the door when he went down. On the floor was a creature built to human proportions. I got down on my knees beside him. His eyes opened, just for a second, and his hand rose off the floor like it was reaching for something. Then it fell. I was still on my knees when I heard it. Another voice, weaker than the first, coming from somewhere deeper in the ship. Every instinct that had kept me alive 20 years in these woods told me to turn around and walk back out that hatch. But I've never been able to walk away from something that's still breathing. I followed the sound to a lift at the end of the passage. Some kind of door, without a single button I recognized. And I stood there, working the math. How many good reasons I had to leave against the one bad reason I had to stay. The bad reason won.